Greetings, and welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Hope you're doing well. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about quantum jumping for healing. This is what the focus is on today. Today we're talking about quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. Quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. And as is the standard, I'll go through my talk. Hello, welcome. Come on in. Welcome. I will talk for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions. And if you can invite yourself to video call via Instagram and TikTok. And then on YouTube, it will mainly be on text-based questioning. So again, for those who are just joining, today we're talking about quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. This is what we're going to be talking about. And welcome in. My name is Dr. Nana Gyesie, transformational coach and leadership shaman here at Nana Gyesie. Welcome. Greetings. Hey, Dawn Marie, come on in. Welcome. Today we're talking about quantum jumping. We're going to demystify what quantum jumping is as much as we can and how it can help with healing from narcissistic abuse. Hey, Gags, welcome in. Hi, Patience Love, welcome in. So that's the focus today, quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. That's the focus today. So if you've been in narcissistic abuse, you're overcoming narcissistic abuse, or have experienced narcissistic abuse, this is where you want to be. And this is what we're going to be focused on in just a few minutes. And the focus again is on how to leapfrog the current reality. Hi, Lucy. Through quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse, right? It's going to be clear, no nonsense, and useful, right? A useful expose on how quantum jumping can actually help you heal from narcissistic abuse or any kind of abuse that you may have experienced. So tell somebody. Welcome in. Again, the focus today is on quantum jumping. My name is Dr. Nana Gyesie. I'm the shamanic leadership guide and transformational coach here at Nana Gyesie, where we focus on helping people understand the trauma-based roots of limiting self-beliefs and how to take inspired action to overcome it. And so again, we're talking about quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. That's the focus today. We're going to get started in just another minute or so going into this topic, quantum jumping. I know there's a lot of things happening in the world, wherever you are on the planet. Everyone is impacted by something that's going on in the world. Hi, Sarah. And this is really about coming to a place of grounding in yourself. Let's go, Scuba, Steve. All right. Thank you, Dawn Marie. And we're going to get into it. Quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. Quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. This is what we're going to be focused on today. So I'm glad you're here. I'm grateful you're all connected. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. For those who celebrate, hopefully your Easter was good on 420. Right? And today is the 21st, and we're getting into this really, really transformational topic, which is quantum jumping for healing from narcissistic abuse. So let's get started. For those who are just joining, my name is Dr. Nana Gyesie. I'm a shamanic leadership coach and transformational coach here at Nana Gyesie. And today we're going to go beyond talk therapy. Today we're going to go beyond healing loops. Today, we're going to go beyond survival narratives, and we are initiating a dimensional upgrade through what many people call quantum jumping. Thank you for the heart. And although that's one name for an ancient and holy technology of liberation, you find that you may have practiced this in some ways in your own life in one way or the other. And quantum jumping is not as mysterious as it sounds. It's a pretty straightforward process that requires a lot of discipline. So let's get into it. Quantum jumping simply is the intentional shift. It's the intentional shift of identity, of perception, and energetic frequency from one timeline or reality construct to another. Let me say that again. Quantum jumping, and I've covered this before in a live where we talked about using quantum jumping to escape from narcissistic abuse. Today we're talking about quantum jumping as a healing modality. So again, quantum jumping is the intentional shift of identity, perception, and energetic frequency from one timeline, old self, or reality, the abused self, to another, where an alternate, more aligned version of you already exists. And in quantum physics or quantum physical terms, you are shifting from one probability waveform to another. Right, Dawn Marie? You're collapsing a new possibility through intention, coherence, and embodiment. Some people call quantum jumping timeline shifting, frequency jumping, vibrational relocation. There's so many parallels for this. But let me get into some of the evidence of this, the science of this. And I'll use quantum physics to explain this. In quantum physics, particles exist in superposition and multiple states simultaneously. The same thing is true of you. There is a free, happy self of you that exists, assuming you're not free and happy now. And to go on with this explanation from quantum physics, when observed or measured, that particle chooses a reality. So in the same way you are stuck in your current loop is because you're observing that reality from the point of view of I am broken, I am in trouble, I am trapped, I am a slave. Greetings, Fly Nolan Queens. And it's important to remember that you are the observer and your consciousness is the measurement tool. You see, you are the observer and your consciousness is the measurement, exactly what you create. And when you look at brain science, your brain doesn't distinguish between imagined and real experiences. Your brain does not distinguish between imagined and real experiences. And let me prove this to you. Wherever you are, global, hey global, wherever you are, without speaking the words, just say these words to yourself quietly, without words. Just try this. Say it to yourself right now, if you're so called, I am abundant, without speaking the words. And then ask yourself, did you hear yourself say those words? How did you hear yourself say those words without speaking them? That's the observer effect, you see? So your brain doesn't distinguish between imagined and real experiences. I've just told you, you feel it, right? And neuroplasticity research confirms that visualizing a new self builds new neural pathways. And in brain science, there's this thing called the default mode network, which is the loop in which you operate in. Exactly, you feel it. Becomes dislodged during meditative or altered states, open you to reality reconfiguration, being able to shift your reality. Hey, Live Free, glad you're here too. So that's the scientific explanation that you, the observer, can shift these things. And when we go esoterically, ancient mystics describe this as walking between worlds, meeting your angelic twin, or embodying your divine double. So let me ask you this question. Everything you want in your life that you don't have already exists, right? Somebody respond and let me know. Everything you want, even if you don't have it, already does exist, right? So the question is, why don't you have the thing that you want that already exists? It's because you haven't collapsed the gap between where you are and your scarcity mindset and where this thing is. You got it. You got it. You got it. So this is why ancient mystics described this thing about quantum jumping as walking between worlds. And shamans call it soul retrieval, which is reclaiming parts of you from other realms and other dimensions. So the point is, quantum jumping is not wishful thinking. It's spiritual technology rooted in physics, brain science, and ancient wisdom. And it's not about becoming something new. It's about reclaiming what was always encoded within you, but was lost to trauma, programming, and abuse. This is why you were programmed. Because you were programmed so that your true quantum state was programmed out of you. Retroball. Exactly. So let's go into this a bit more, the evidence. What are the origins of quantum jumping? Quantum jumping is not a new age trend or something that's just fancy on social media these days. It's actually an ancient multidimensional tradition repackaged for the modern mind. And let's go into it. As those of you who've been here for quite a while know that I'm a big fan and adherent to ancient Kemet, also known as ancient Egypt. And in the mystery schools in ancient Egypt, they taught initiates to die before death, symbolically shedding the old identity and traveling through Duat to embody the divine self. Thank you. If anybody is here who has a new name as a result of your spiritual awakening, I'm sure you can relate to this. Does anybody here have a new name? I know when I became precepted as a Buddhist, my spiritual name is Panananda, which means lover of wisdom. And I'm sure some of you have spiritual names. If you do, just put it in the chat. Let's see who you are. Yes, it's being recorded and will be posted on YouTube, Duchess. Now, let's go into African indigenous traditions, right? You took your family name back, Dawn Marie. That's beautiful. That's a form of quantum jumping. It is. Because you're misidentifying with a name that holds no more value or holds an old identity that you've grown out of. Now, the Dogons, exactly. The Dogons from what's today known as Benin mapped out star beams, timelines, and vibrational realities. And what they also did was consciously shifted between dimensions, which was very normal for them, especially during rites of passage or trauma healing. This is a thing, you think there's just a medicine man going between timelines. They're using the same principles that I'm talking to you about. Exactly, honey buns. Now, in Eastern thinking, particularly in Tantra from Buddhism, one of the things that happens there is you adopt a deity form to collapse limiting identities, right? This is a form of vibrational, I'm so glad, mother, this is a form of vibrational merging or jumping, right? And in Advaita Vedanta, it teaches that the self is not one body, but one awareness, choosing form in infinite expressions, meaning that there are various versions of you that exist. As long as you can imagine it, you can see it, you can be it. How do we deal with an MPD who keeps interrupting our work? If that's a question my friends are always confused. That is energetic interference. And the simplest way to deal with a narcissist is to be unbothered, to not react, because that gives them supply. So if speaking in the mode of quantum jumping is to imagine that you're already at a peaceful place, untouchable by hateful interruption. In Hermeticism, there's this talk about us above, so below, that there's nothing outside. Everything outside is a reflection of what's within, called the law of correspondence. And the Hermeticists from ancient Egypt, that these alchemists engage in internal transmutation, which is the real philosopher's son, Fina, thank you, right? And this term quantum jumping became more popular in Western parlance because of a man called Bert Goldman, right? And of course, most recently, you have leading thinkers like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, who have brought a scientific perspective to validate quantum jumping. So you know that it's not mystical fiction. This is spiritual physics as practiced by every ancient spiritual elite. So the question becomes, how is this useful to you? How is this useful to you? Why quantum jumping after narcissistic abuse? Well, narcissistic abuse is about frequency entrapment. You know, the spell, thank you, Scuba. The spell of narcissistic abuse entraps and enmeshes your positive empathic frequency to be enmeshed with this parasitic, vampiristic frequency from the narcissist. And as a result, it's not just emotional harm, it's a spell, Don Marie. Raise our frequency. It's a hijacking of your soul's GPS. And you're conditioned into codependence, fear-based compliance, even hypervigilance, and having this identity with the abuser. And that becomes your timeline construct. Return to self. Well said, honey buns. That becomes a timeline construct, a psychic prison reinforced by neurochemical trauma loops. And what are these neurochemicals? Mainly cortisol. What is cortisol? Cortisol is the stress hormone. So when you have an overactive amygdala, fear, you create a lot of cortisol. And the truth is, Narcissists don't just harm you, which they do, right? They fracture you. And quantum jumping is the act of reclaiming your unfractured self. Somebody tell me I'm talking to you, right? Because without quantum jumping, healing becomes cyclical, right? Old patterns repeat themselves with new faces, which is why when people leave a narcissistic, thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Dawn Marie. Thank you, Honey. Which is why when you leave a narcissistic relationship, next thing you know, thank you, live for you're attracting more narcissists. Or you leave a narcissistic friendship and you're attracting more narcissists. You see, and this is how old patterns repeat. Thank you, my fitness journey, because you unconsciously recreate the vibrational conditions of your wound. This is all frequency. Now, the reason why quantum jumping works, and I'm going to tell you how you do it, is because you don't have to fix the traumatized self, right? We're going to get there, Mike. You access the version of you who was never touched by the abuse. Remember the question I asked you, everything you want already exists. So the question is, why don't you have what you want? Because you don't really see it, you don't believe it yet. There's a gap between the frequency you're holding and the frequency of the thing that you want. You see? So with quantum jumping, it works because you access the version of yourself that was never touched by the abuse. And that version is more real than the wounded one. What's the evidence for this? Bruce Lipton talks about epigenetic pre-programming. Now, epigenetics is the evidence that your trauma is passed on not just through what you observe, but through your DNA. So you can alter gene expressions in you by changing your beliefs. Then there's neuroplasticity, which in neuroscience means the brain rewires based on emotion, focus, and repetition. This is why affirmations really work. Therefore, when you're quantum jumping, you're using your emotions, right? You're using focus and using repetition. It's hard to remember we deserve good things because we've been taught and told we didn't, so hard to rewire. In fact, that version is what you just described, honey buns, is a negative expression of quantum jumping. And so when we flip it the other way, we have the positive expression of quantum jumping. Because you remember the quote from the Hermeticists, as above, so below. So the vibrational imprint of abuse, guilt, fear, and shame get installed when you get uninstalled, in fact, when you stabilize in your higher self's frequency. In other words, you cannot be afraid when you're grateful. You cannot be sad when you practice smiling. You see, Damogam? The narcissist can no longer locate you when you find self-love because the narcissist operates in self-hate. And the narcissist is hell. They don't live in hell, they are hell. And when they see you, they see an embodiment of heaven, which they want, which is why they're so attracted to you and me. But when you're in a place of having quantum leaped and program yourself into a place of love, the narcissist can no longer find you on your radar. They know you're there, but they can't find you, which is why it's important to practice being unreactive and quiet. Because you realize quantum jumping is not just woo-woo. It's the only way to exit the abuse matrix at the soul level. Am I talking to someone here? Tell me if I'm talking to you. You see? So you realize that quantum jumping is not a routine. It's a ritual, thank you, of dimensional sovereignty. Right? It's a ritual of dimensional sovereignty. And how do you get there? There's some steps to get in there with quantum jumping. First is what Dispenza will call coherence creation. So coherence creation, thank you so much, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you, Roya. I appreciate you. It's about connecting to the breath, anything that stabilizes your heart and your brain and grounds you. They do feel our frequency, Dawn Marie, because they are energetic predators, vampires, parasites, you see? And I'm using this word to describe, not put down. Hi, Ellie. So when you are able to create brain-heart coherence, this is what Dispenza calls it, making your system receptive to interdimensional work or your intuition is the first step. How do you do this? Grounding in nature, dancing like I do on this channel, right? Dancing, walking barefooted, shaking. These are all ways of convulsing yourself into brain heart coherence. Because when you're dancing or practicing yoga, you bypass the program mind. I'm so glad, Roya. That is amazing. Tell us more about it in just a second, okay? The second is, do you have a parallel self-identification without bypassing? Can you imagine yourself as healed and happy and abundant and in love and in peace and in purpose? Can you see that? Can you see the version of you that's already healed in your mind? How do they feel? What do they smell like? What do they believe about love and power and peace and abundance, despite what's going on in the world? Where do you live in your higher self? Where do you work? I'm so glad, Don Marie. Where do you speak from? Damalgam, the programming of self-sacrifice and family was brought hook, line, and sinker to. Oh, you bought it. Because you were the spiritual slave of your family. I can tell that without even speaking to you. So imagine this parallel self, the highest version of yourself, and write out their qualities, speak in their voice, name that version, even if it's a different name. This creates an energetic address for the jump. You see, in the same way I asked you to audibly say to yourself, inaudibly say to yourself, I am abundant without words. You still heard it, even though you didn't use words. That is proof that you can also imagine this highest version of yourself, this parallel self version of yourself, even if you feel small now. Imagine this big version of yourself. We are not our memory. The memory is in the past, and the past does not exist in the same way the future doesn't. All that exists is the now, the present. Bella, we're one. You got it, honey buns. Then the third step is to dissolve the old timeline. You see, for example, I'll give you an example. Someone sent me a video today of my biological father doing something to trigger me. And when I got it, it felt like I was looking at a stranger. And the first thing I did was delete that message because it had no resonance. I mean, I watched it, but it had no resonance to me at all because I no longer exist in that timeline. So for you, are you disidentified from the timeline in which you were made to feel the smallest, where you were under spiritual slavery, Dawn Marie? Did I lose my family if I change my past? Well, it depends. This is a very sensitive question, Thomas. It depends. Thank you, Roya. You see, so how do you dissolve the old timeline? Write down and burn the names. Burn, burn, burn. That's energy transmutation. Burn the names, phrases, and identities you're shedding. I'm no longer small. I'm no longer inadequate. I'm no longer in a scarcity mindset. And then you go through energetic cord cutting, where you say, I do not consent. Visualize pulling cords from your body and bury them in the earth. And declare to yourself, I now dissolve all vibrational contracts with this outdated version of myself. You see, let me just punctuate what I just said to you with this song. This song is from Salt, and the title of the song is The Lesson is Over. The lesson is over. The lesson is over. I'm going to come back, but I got to get my James Brown on because the lesson is over. The lesson is over. The lesson is over so you can quantum jump. Woo! Woo! It's over. It's the message is over. Ooh. The lesson is over. It's the message is over. It's over. The lesson is over. The moment you declare it, the lesson is over. This is Salt. The lesson is over. The lesson is over. Dissolve the old timeline. Salt, one love. So after you dissolve the old timeline, you jump. And you jump through visualization or even in the mirror. Merge with the healed self. Breathe them into your bones if you're serious. Thank you, Dawn Marie. And anchor a new truth by saying to yourself every day you wake up, I am waking up in my highest timeline as my highest, best version of myself. And as you do this, it's important to begin to integrate this. How do you do this? By changing your external behaviors instantly. The way you dress, the way you speak, what your boundaries are, what your creative action is. Speak like the highest version of yourself. Begin to act like the highest version of yourself. Rest like the highest version of yourself. Spend money like the highest version of yourself. And repeat this over and over again, because you know everything is a loop, and everything repeated becomes a pattern, and the pattern becomes behavior. Behavior becomes what you call your personality. It's a math equation, honey buns. It's an equation. But I will be remiss if I didn't mention some things to be mindful of before you quantum jump. You see, rebirth. We are royalty. I love that. I gotta play this fight protege, royalty. Just for you, Dawn Marie. Like royalty. This is protege. Oh my, Dawn Marie, you just went there. This is one of my daughter's favorite songs. Like royalty in life. Woo! Royalty. That's protege. My daughter is my most favorite person in the world. My sons too. But my daughter Shiloh, she's an old soul. She teaches me everything, Dawn Marie. But anyway, let me get on with this. I'm talking about the pitfalls. The pitfalls. It's important not to bypass your pain. Because if you bypass your pain, you cannot sustain. Thank you, Dawn Marie. You cannot sustain transmutation. You have to actually transmute your pain rather than bypass it. It's important. We are royalty, Scuba Steve. The second thing is not to lie to yourself that you're jumping when you're not. And then don't go ego jumping because you want to tell people, I'm quantum jumping. No! Quantum jumping is about repetition, visualization, and knowing that that version of yourself already exists. The example I always give is everything you want that you don't have already exists. So the question is, why don't you have what you want? Because you're not a vibrational match to it yet. Another thing to be mindful of is guard your field. Avoid re-engaging with a narcissist. We are worthy. We are. You see? And what happens when you quantum jump, and I've seen this with several clients, abusers disappear or lose interest. Money appears or love is rekindled, or you begin to walk into your purpose. You may even get involved in lucid dreaming, even without taking the Blue Lotus herbs. You may find that some of your chronic illnesses begin to shift because all diseases have emotional roots, but you talk to a medical professional for that. And there's evidence from this researcher called Lanja, who was at Harvard, who did this research on re-immersion in past selves, which alter biological age. That's right. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza also talks about visualizing your future selves, and this is shown up on EEG scans that show neural coherence identical to lived experience. So just by the act of quantum jumping, you actually you simulate being there already before it actually happens. So that's another point of evidence. It's not just woo-woo talk. But Joe Dispenza is amazing. You're not imagining it, you're jumping into it. So you realize that your abuse was a trap. Quantum jumping or self-love is your escape hatch. And the whole point of this is not just about healing, it's about becoming whole from being fragmented. It already exists, Scuba Steve. Thank you, Tara Charms. So it's about becoming better, not bitter, by remembering who you were before the trauma. Thank you so much. Right? Before the trauma. And recognizing that you are the frequency that ends the trauma cycle for good. John, no. So that's the message. Let's take some questions. Whoever wants to come and speak up, just invite yourself or just type pick me and I'll put you in so we can get some live questions, maybe 1 or 2 live questions, right? But this is what quantum jumping is about. Thank you, Dawn Marie. Thank you. I'm grateful for you to be being here, because without you, there is no me. And this is what it is we're into being. My PTSD health tree has been open. Good. Lindsay, how about when the trauma abuse existed from birth by parent? Yes. You see, because when that happens, we are actually remembering who we were before we were incarnated into the families that we came into. That kind of memory, that's soul memory. That's going to your Akashic records. But without using these fancy terms, there's a state of you that was pure before you were conditioned. And this is all about returning to that original self before it was tainted by conditioning. And the only way to come to the original self is to bypass the conditioned mind by using the heart. You see? And the heart can enable you to imagine a version of yourself that is separate from the trauma that you've experienced. But once you're able to do that, no one can stop you. Be forced to forget make the remembering even more powerful. And the moment you start to remember, it's almost like you start to get this invisible help. You see, that's the mystery of awakening, that you think you're doing it, but you're not. All you're doing is making yourself available to the vibration. Then the vibration takes over. If you can understand what I'm saying. Am I just talking to myself? I got severe PCOS symptoms when I was with my narcissist, but I've had irregular menstrual since then. Bella, you are amazing. You want to tell us more about it? You want to talk about this? This is what it's about. It's about overcoming these things, because diseases start in the mind first. And once you become the mind, it's game over. They can't touch you. You see, it's almost like this invisible auric field surprisingly protects you. So the only weapon you need is love, self-love. And with self-love, you overcome anything and everything. Because when you're self-loving, you're self-respected. And when you're self-respecting, game over. You said it. You see, game over. And this is for a specific person, not for everyone. Hi, Bella. Hello, Bella. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Tell us what happened to you. What's
Doing
this?
good. How are you?
Life is beautiful. What's the story? What happened to you?
Oh, first off, I want to say thank you so much for your wisdom. Those are the words that I really need to hear right now. I've been getting all the signs from God, the universe, and everything. I am a generational curse breaker, so I have to break this chain of PCOS and womb problem.
Wow.
Both of my grandmothers recently died at 65 years old.
Wow.
With womb cancer and lymphedema. So that was a big sign for me that there is something deeply wrong that's connected with healing and the womb and what we hold in there.
It's over, Bella. It's over. Bella, you are amazing. You know why you're amazing? Or should I tell you? You are amazing. You're amazing because you've done the impossible. You're amazing because you've done the impossible in your bloodline. Because you dare to say there's got to be better. This is not my destiny. This is not my personality. This disease doesn't belong to me. And you didn't do it. It was your inner higher self that did it. And it did it because you started to develop a relationship with your higher self.
Wow.
You see, people think that we have to do the work. No, all we have to do is be available. and then the vibration just takes over. And all you have to do is just keep showing up and being available. Or as one of my teachers would say, be available and aligned, available and aligned, available and aligned. And as long as you're available and aligned, that's the business. That's what you've done. You've done the impossible. And don't be surprised what starts opening up for you. It's just the beginning. And you have a calling. I feel the call of your spirit. You have a higher calling, especially in this time when the world is burning. You've just entered your place of peace because you have a pure spirit. Am I just talking to myself, Bella? Tell me if I'm talking to you.
Wow, you're really speaking to me. I'm so grateful.
There's no one like you, okay? And just remember this from this song from Saul before you go. The lesson is over.
It is over.
The lesson is over, Bella. Can you declare that the lesson is over? I can't hear you. You got to be louder than that.
The lesson is over.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit. I felt your spirit. Bella, I'm sending you good energy and good vibrations. I'm sending you good vibration. Be happy and spread your love because there's no one like you. You understand me? And you're welcome back. You're welcome back here anytime. We appreciate you and come back anytime, Bella Palinigra. All right? Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love. This is what it is. This is all energy and vibration. I'm Shruti. Once we wake up, how long would it take to feel better? You see, in the spiritual walk, there's nothing like time because time is a construct. Your acceleration to full healing depends on how much you're willing and able to let go, detach. And once you detach, it's game over. You see, the more you detach, the more you come into your strength. The more you detach, the more you come into your strength. And detachment is very difficult because trauma requires attachment. Tell me if I answered you, I'm Shruti. I don't know if I did, but tell me if I did. You see, this is the whole point. This is the whole point. You see, it's about becoming detached from anything that doesn't serve you. It's very hard because the conditioned mind needs a construct. You see, it needs a. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Oh, I didn't expect to be actually on here.
Okay, but well, you are. You're meant to be. How's life treating you?
Oh, it's difficult for everybody right now. So,
So tell me, what happened to you? What's your story?
Oh, it's too long to say, but I wanted to say this. Okay, you said something that you have to remember who you were before the trauma. Okay, so I was thinking about that, and I realized the gift of my trauma. So I grew up very neglected in a house of about, 6 other people, and I was never cared for. I had to fend for myself from the age of like 4 and 5 because I was the youngest, and there was a lot of trauma growing up in my circumstance. Okay, I grew up in a very kind of dangerous area. So I'm realizing now that my neglect allowed me to form my ideas, my values, what my ideologies will be for the rest of my life, because I had no interference from adults. So having to take care of myself and having to raise myself gave me the freedom to realize the things that I was able to form in my understanding of myself in relation to the world, in relation to even my little world of people in my house. So I, at a very young age, was very aware of frequencies. At 6 years old, okay? Frequencies, and because I'm on the autism spectrum, my sensories, my sensories are on fleek, so to speak, right? So I was very aware at that age. I had a lot of gifts. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know that they were gifts even. But I understood about vibrations. I understood about feeling people's vibes and forming my own vibes in what I believe in. So today, I'm a survivor of a very bad narcissist because I held on to my beliefs that I know what's going on. I trusted my vibes. I trusted my intuition.
Do you know what? Do you know what?
Ability.
Do you know what, Emily? I'm going to interrupt you. Do you know what happened to you? You know why? You know why you were neglected?
Why?
Because all your caregivers saw your light and knew you had it.
True that. I believe that.
So the compensating feedback was to abandon you so you rot on the vine.
Right.
And the reason why you found direction with some trauma is because there's always this inner compass saying, this is the path to remembering, Emily. This is the path to remember. You know, I'm not a medical professional, but ADHD or ADD, these are all signs of being a translator in a world that doesn't want translation.
Yeah.
So what you're realizing is, even though you said everyone's going through a difficult time, for those who were the last will be first, and the first will be last. These are the times we're in. Let me say that again.
And I'm not worried about my position as far as first, last, because I'm in my own reality and I'm creating my life the way everything that I wanted in my life I got.
Yes.
Because I assumed I was gonna get it. It's such a simple, naive,
it's not a simple, naive thought. Neville Goddard made a whole career of it. He called it the law of assumption, what you just described. You are working with principles intuitively that have been described because all the books are written inside us. Emily? The law of assumption by Neville. Your hair is standing. Love, because we're speaking truth. This is what you know. That's why what I mean by the last will be first and the first will be last is how many people are creating their own reality now?
Yeah.
You got it. Now you got it. Oh.
And you know, and my family now that I've grown and I've survived everything that I survived, I'm the one that they would come to for wisdom. And my children, I passed on my wisdom or knowledge or who I am. I passed it to my children, and I broke curses, and I changed our trajectory completely. My boys, I have 3 sons, yes, and they know when they want something, they can get it. They just have to assume. Just assume.
Look at me. Look at me. You know, the cats know things. So I'm going to see that cat because that cat knows. Yes, you do know. Yes, you do know. Don't you know? Yes, you do. Don't hide. You see, I just want to say this to you, Emily, before you leave. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
because you are just using your intuition, but what I'm confirming for you is you are operating in spiritual law.
And you know what confirmed it for me? When I looked into Egypt and all the crap of Christianity, the copycat of Christianity, the copycat and the lie of Christianity. Yes, thank you, the Ankh. All of this was resonated with me and became true and real when I looked at Mama Africa and her wisdom.
Say that again, please.
Everything that I believed in was confirmed and aligned when I looked at Mama Africa and her wisdom.
You know what that says about you? You know what it says about you? Know what it says about you? You know what it says about you? You know what it says about you? You have connected to your true shamanic roots.
Oh, okay.
Without knowing.
I don't know about all the woo-woo, but
this is what remembrance is like, Emily.
Yeah.
You're remembering, and I'm just confirming that what you're remembering is true.
I used to be a minister. I went to seminary.
Of course you did.
And now, and I put away. My mom used to tell me that my intuition was from Satan, and
Of
I never
course.
listened. Because religion says that.
Religion is a cultural expression of man and woman trying to interpret God. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's an attempt to find the inner God. It's an attempt.
But what we are dealing with is capital T truth. That's why we're from all parts of the world, but we all understand each other. I've never met you, and I understand you because I am you.
Yeah. Commonality, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to say, but I won't take up your time. I just
Before you go, what's your wisdom you want to share with all of us on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram?
It's so important to teach your children to wake up and not listen to the garbage that is shoved down their throats, to help them to understand that there's power in that. We are born with intuition and gifts. We are born. We don't have to go outside to ask anybody for all within us. And we have to trust it. Not to be afraid of it. You can't tell everybody, unfortunately, but stick with it and let truth come to you and accept it more. Assume that everything is yours. Assume.
Say that last part again.
Assume that everything is yours, innocently, like a child. Assume it.
That's what this live is about, quantum jumping. You just said it. And you know everything, and you know a lot. And I pray that all those assigned to you find you.
Thank you.
Because you're a great soul. And may they be enlightened by your light.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome back here anytime, yes?
Thank you.
One love. You heard it. You heard it from Emily. You heard it. I mean, what else can I tell you? I'm not just making this up. You see?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
And thank you for what you're doing, because you're helping a lot of people.
I appreciate it. Peace. Oh, that's lovely. That is lovely. You see? Global, if one finds a dog fight, does one try to stop it or allow it to evolve? Observe. You're the sacred consciousness. You're the awareness of it all. Observe. That was beautiful, Emily. One love always. So you see, you get the message. This is the whole kit and caboodle. You see, this is what it's about. So, what are you going to remember about yourself that you can quantum jump to? What are you going to remember about yourself that you're going to jump to? This is what it's about. So as you go on your day to day, I want you to remember this, that whatever you want already exists. So remember who you are. As the great Texan Erykah Badu said, reminding you of who you are, and on and on and on. You know who you are. She tells you who you are in this song, on and on. So I want to send you lots of good energy. And remember, everything you want already exists. So the question is, why don't you have it? And as long as you can answer that question, is how you collapse the timeline between your old self and your new self. You see the game? We were made in his image, so call us by our names. It's everywhere. You should know who you are now. I'm telling you who you are without telling you, because I can't tell you. I'm just reflecting to you who you are. Like Erykah Badu said. You see it? And on and on and on. So I just want to thank you all. My name is Dr. Nana Gyesie. If I can be of help to you, you can book a free session on my website or come back to this live. We'll be back here. We're here 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific time, because I'm based in Seattle. Keep shining your light. Keep shining your light. I'm so grateful for everyone. And may today bring you something that puts a smile on your face. And you know who's going to create that? You. One love, yeah? One love. Big up, Tacoma. Big up. Peace.